Hey, Mike, could you get everybody to quiet down in the back for me? We're actually running a little ahead of schedule, so I know, 10 o'clock is bedtime in Vermont, so we want to make sure everybody gets out of here. Hi, everybody. I'm Phil Summers. I'm the Executive Director here at the Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to our 2025 Awards Dinner. Our Hall of Fame induction and our annual meeting. We got a lot on the agenda tonight. We have a distinguished keynote speaker. We have the election of our 2026 board members, presentation of our annual awards, and the induction of our 2025 Hall of Fame class. So first, I'd like to introduce Vermont State Treasurer Mike Pieciak. I'm so pleased to be able to introduce him tonight. We've met a couple of times. He actually knows my daughter, who's an attorney in New York for unrelated business. But Mike is a husband, a proud Vermonter, and Vermont's 31st treasurer. Grew up in Brattleboro. Mike was inspired to pursue public service by the example his parents set. His father was a small business owner, dedicated his free time to community service, while his mother founded St. Bridget's Soup Kitchen, which continues to serve those in need today. They raised Mike to believe that Vermonters should always look after their neighbors. That belief continues to guide his work today. As treasurer, Mike is focused on making smart investments that lower cost, strengthen Vermont's economy, and gives every Vermonter a fair shot at success. Mike resides in Winooski. We were just talking about that, with his husband Will and his English setter Jetty. Please give Mike a warm welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. It's really an honor, a pleasure to be here with you all tonight. Thank you, Phil, for that nice introduction. Thank you to the Addison County Chamber of Commerce for having me. Thank you, and congratulations to Fred and to Peter and to Bob and to Linda for being here tonight. And I really am honored to be able to spend the evening with you. Phil mentioned that I grew up in Brattleboro, and I think, back to growing up and why I got into public service in the first place. And you heard about my parents, and they really were a strong reason that I pursued public service. My dad was the president of the Brattleboro Chamber of Commerce right before I was born, and he continued to serve the community in many different ways. But he was a small business owner. He was a CPA, and he wanted to make sure that we always supported the Brattleboro community. He wanted to make sure we always supported local businesses in the Brattleboro community. That meant that we had to eat dinner and we had to eat breakfast at this diner at the end of Main Street that was never very good. It had dirty silverware. It had flies over the buffet. It was a challenge. But I said, Dad, why do we have to keep eating here? He says, because they are our client and they help me, and I'm going to make sure I help them. And in many different ways, he gave back to the community as well. He helped bring lights to the football field so we could have Friday night football games, so we could have that community activity. He helped bring a teen center to Brattleboro so that kids had a safe place to hang out after school. He helped expand the golf course from 9 holes to 18 holes. And on that one in particular, I had to ask him, Dad, you don't even play golf. Why did you spend so much time working to expand the golf course? And he said that, Brattleboro and the Brattleboro community had done so much for him and had done so much for our family that it was the least he could do to find ways to give back. And that idea, that sort of moral responsibility, almost that moral obligation to give back, is something that really has stuck with me and helped guide my work and helped guide what I want to do with my profession. When I also think about the example of my mom, my mom and my dad are funny. My dad's a Republican, my mom is a Democrat, and I would joke that they used to be able to watch TV in the same room, but no longer is the case. But my mom, she founded St. Bridget's Kitchen a year before she was pregnant with me in Brattleboro. And St. Bridget's, they recognized that there was this unmet need in the community. People were coming to the church door asking for food. They were hungry. They were really in dire straits. So they started St. Bridget's Kitchen. They started on St. Patrick's Day, 1982. They served 12 meals that first day. But they were right, unfortunately. There was an unmet need, and that need has only grown. They now serve over 45,000 meals a year in the Brattleboro community, which is great in terms of what they're able to provide, but really speaks to the challenge that we're facing in Vermont. But my mom, every single time I was with her, every single time we went out to deliver food in the Brattleboro community to people that were shut in and largely forgotten about by the community, by society, whether it was people coming into the kitchen who had really challenging, hard lives, my mom, without fail, every single time was kind and caring and loving and patient. And it really instilled in me this idea that everybody has value, everybody matters, and everybody deserves dignity. And I think as public servants, as leaders, as politicians, that's the high standard that we should all live up to and try to meet with all of our work every single day. So that's why I got into public service. It's what continues to drive me to work. It continues to drive me to want to do what we can do to help Vermonters every single day. And when I think about some of the challenges we're facing in our economy, it's really what I wanted to highlight and talk about, this evening. Because I think we have a lot of advantages in the Vermont economy. We have real natural beauty in our state that can't be matched by any other location, in my opinion. We have a really strong outdoor recreation industry, and we have a really tight, strong sense of community. Those are things that can't easily be replicated elsewhere. They're things that drive people to Vermont. They're things that keep people in Vermont. But clearly we need to do more for our economy because it is too hard to be able to afford to live here in our state, and it's becoming a greater and greater challenge. When I think about the economy, I really think about four things that we have to focus on, high-level items that will help us and serve us well. Number one is bringing more money into our state. The second is keeping more of our money here in Vermont. The third is thinking about how do we make sure everybody benefits from that? How do we share the wealth, if you will, among the population and geographically as well? And then how do we spend our money wisely in Vermont? But when we think about how we need to bring more money to our state, that is really critical. I think about Brattleboro. And when I was a kid, Brattleboro was really a thriving place. It had a strong downtown, had a strong middle class. It was a really nice place to grow up. Right now, it's really kind of challenged. There's a lot of homelessness, there's a lot of drug use, there's a lot of crime. Main Street doesn't look like it was. It wasn't the same businesses that were there when I was growing up. And one of the big differences is that when I was a kid, a lot of those businesses were locally owned. They were family owned, generationally owned. And a lot of those businesses have closed or they've sold to regional or national chains. And it's a lot harder to keep your money locally and grow your economy when every dollar you're spending, the majority of it is leaving Vermont and going to some corporate headquarters outside of our state. But one thing we have to do is think about how do we build an economy that brings money into our state. Some examples of that we're doing really well is captive insurance. Captive insurance is an industry that Vermont is an international leader in. It's a type of insurance where people have to get a license by our state. They have to have their annual meeting here in our state. It drives tourism, it drives tax dollars. We get about $35 million a year from captive insurance. Another big example is tourism. It's a billions and billions of dollars of industry, people coming to Vermont every year spending their money. That is a net benefit to our state as people are coming from outside of Vermont, bringing their money into our state, spending it in our economy. Same thing with outdoor recreation. That's a really important part of our economy, particularly for rural areas of our state that don't always enjoy the benefits that are happening in Chittenden County and likewise. Higher education here in Middlebury, it's a great example, but higher education is a great example of how we have an industry that brings money into Vermont from students coming to school here and their tuition dollars following them. Another is manufacturing. Manufacturing is a really important part of our Vermont economy. You think about our exports as Ben & Jerry's and agricultural products, but in fact, microchips, semiconductor microchips, are Vermont's largest export. In fact, 84% of all the phones in the world have a chip that was produced in Essex Junction at the Global Foundries lab, which is pretty remarkable. So Vermont is more than just ice cream and cheese and craft beer. We do advanced manufacturing. But all of those things are things we have to continue to lean into and double down on and continue to expand. How are we going to build an economy where we are bringing money into our state and becoming wealthier as a result? Similarly, we have to be thinking about how do we keep our money here in Vermont? How do we spend our money locally? How do we support small business so we can have more businesses that are locally owned, more businesses that are growing here in Vermont into smaller than medium than larger businesses? How do we create that kind of environment? Another place where we spend a lot of money that leaves our state is through our energy consumption. You know, we are at a moment in time where we're on the verge of a radical transformation on weatherization, green energy, electric vehicles. Leaning more into that is not simply something that would be good for our environment, but it's something that would be good for our economy as well. A lot of those jobs, a lot of those businesses are here in Vermont, and when we're spending our money on electricity rather than on fossil fuel, a lot more of that money stays in our state and generates through our economy. And when we're thinking about how do we make sure everybody benefits from our economy, that's a really important one too. Because right now, affordability is a challenge across the board, but it is a particular challenge for lower wage earners here in Vermont. When we look at the data around who has moved to our state, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, a lot of people that moved here have really high incomes. You know, 30% increase in people making over $100,000 adjusted gross income from 2019 to 2022. So about 17,000 more people filing their taxes earn over $100,000 over that 3-year period, a pretty remarkable amount of growth. We've seen our tax revenues go up a lot because there are wealthier people now living in Vermont. But when you look at the lower income earners, that population actually shrunk during that same period in time. It's really hard as a low-wage worker to find a house that you can afford in our state, to be able to afford health insurance, to be able to afford childcare, and to be able to find a job that pays you a wage that is sufficient for the work that you're giving to the community and to your employer. It's really, really a challenge. So how do we build a Vermont that really is affordable for everybody? And that is a critical thing, not just as a moral point, but as an economic point. We need to have workers in our economy to do all of the important jobs like nurses and teachers and firefighters, the things that keep our communities running and keep our economy running as well. And then we also have to think about how do we spend our money wisely in this state. What are the systems that need reform? And I think we have quite a few of them, maybe starting with healthcare and maybe a little bit in education too. But we have a lot of systems that are old and antiquated and built in a time when that we no longer live in Vermont, and we need to wrestle with that fact and wrestle with that truth. But I think if we keep our focus on those strategic items, that strategic framework, whether it's us at the state of Vermont or you here in Addison County, I think it's a way of building a successful local economy and a successful state economy as well. Now, of course, if we're thinking about practically what are the things we need to do as a state, you know, number one is we need more housing, right? We have a dire lack of housing across the board. It's the number one issue I talk about and hear about from employers and from folks in our economy. But it's also the number one issue I hear from folks that work in social services. It's the number one social issue, in my opinion, as well as the number one economic issue. We can't effectively treat homelessness and provide people a home if we don't have enough homes to house them. We can't effectively deal with mental health issues if we can't execute on a housing first strategy that gets people into a stable environment to help them get better. Same with addiction. It's really a challenge to make progress on any of those big major social issues that all of the towns in Vermont are confronting without more housing. Housing also impacts healthcare, like we were talking about at our table earlier. You know, so many times I've talked to healthcare CEOs and they say, boy, I'm always confronted with the same problem every time I give somebody a job offer. I say, here's the offer. They say, I love your hospital. I love your community. It's beautiful. But I've looked around and I need like 20, 30, 40,000 more dollars because the cost of living is so high here in Vermont. And that healthcare CEO talks about the choice that they have to make. Do I say no and not hire this person, and then healthcare access in Vermont is reduced? Or do I say yes and then healthcare becomes less affordable for our state. But all of those things tie back to housing. I think we as a state should have a goal of making Vermont the easiest place in New England to build new housing. We have to align our infrastructure, our regulatory environment, our financing to be able to make that be the case and build it in places like Middlebury, like Virgins, like Burlington, all the city centers where we need more, and it is smart to build it. And we need more housing that focuses on older Vermonters as well. I think that strategically is going to be the most important place we can invest our housing dollars over the next decade. One of the first investments I made as treasurer, was up at the Virgins Grand, just a few miles north of here. The Virgins Grand was a great example. They were adding 65 new units of assisted living housing. They were not just adding those units, but freeing up units in the community as people moved into their facility. They were adding jobs as well. And it was downtown, dense, and infill. And so many people are going to go visit their family members in that facility and spend time and money in the local community. But we need to find ways to help people be able to age in place in their community, but not necessarily always in their house, because it can be really unaffordable for a lot of older people to maintain their house. It can be really challenging for them physically to maintain their house, but simply there are no other options for them when they're looking to downsize. And I think our success as a state begins and ends with our ability to address our housing crisis. The last thing I want to leave on is not necessarily a specific policy item, but I think something that as a state collectively we need to address if we're going to make progress in our future, in our economy, in our communities. But in Vermont, we have a real hard time with the concept of change. Maybe you've noticed this. I was telling the joke the other day about, how many Vermonters does it take to change a light bulb? Change a light bulb? That was my grandfather's light bulb. That's sort of the mentality that we have in our state. I'm sure a lot of you can recognize it in yourselves or in your friends or in your family members. But I hear it a lot. I don't want things to change, or they're changing too quick, or something along that line. And my point is, let's just look at the data over the last decade. Vermont in the last 2 years had the second highest rate of inflation of any state in the country, driven by the highest housing cost increase in the country. So you had the second highest inflation, the number one highest housing inflation. You look at our homelessness numbers. A decade ago, we had 1,400 people who were homeless by the count. Now, we have almost that number of children who are homeless in our state. We have 4,500 people who are homeless, over 1,000 children who are homeless. You think about healthcare costs. They have doubled in the last 6 years. Our healthcare costs are double the amount of New Hampshire and Maine, two states that are older than us. So it's not simply about us being an older state. There's more that we have to address there. You think about childcare. We have the highest percentage of childcare as a percent of income than any other state in the country. And we're one of the states that has the unfortunate distinction of having it be more expensive to send a newborn to childcare than it is to send an 18-year-old off to college. So that is a real burden for a lot of young families. You think also about young people. We are one of the states that does the poorest job of retaining young people that either are graduating from high school or graduating from college. We have the biggest gap between the number of college graduates we produce in the state and the number of college graduates who remain in our state. So my message is things are changing right now. We are never in a constant state. Unfortunately, in many ways, they're changing for the worse. And what we need to do is become much more comfortable with the idea of change and be much more active and proactive in taking total control of our future and building the change we want to see, so it's not a non-virtuous cycle where things are getting more expensive, it's becoming more challenging, we have fewer workers, our economy is struggling, we have fewer tax revenues, we're not able to meet our needs, and we have an economy that is in a virtuous cycle where businesses want to come here because people want to come here. People are here, our tax revenues are higher, our services are stronger, our government is stronger, we can invest in the places we want to invest in, we can invest in the people that we want to invest in. It certainly involves policies around housing and healthcare and workforce, but ultimately I think it involves all of us being a little bit more comfortable with change. And I know that all of you will be advocates of making sure Vermont has productive, positive, forward-looking change here in Addison County and across our state. Again, it's really a pleasure to be here with you this evening. I look forward to hanging out and hearing about your election results and things that are happening with the chamber, and look forward to talking with you all afterward as well. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You know, I spent most of my career in New York and Virginia, never had the opportunity to meet the state treasurer. And I think we should realize how fortunate we are here in Vermont that we've got a treasurer who comes out and meets with his constituents on such a regular basis. I've seen Mike in Addison County like 3 or 4 times since I've been here. Give him another hand. Okay, I know everybody wants to get to the awards, but there's like this business thing that we have to do by bylaw. It's pretty quick. Some of it's interesting, and we'll get through it relatively quickly. The first thing is I have to give a state of the chamber kind of show, and it's about 7 or 8 slides. And what I can tell you is the state of the chamber is very good. These are some of our new members this year. We have been able to repopulate the membership to pre-pandemic levels, and with your help, and we appreciate the recommendations that you give to new business and existing businesses to help us continue to grow. It's an important part of how we provide programming. We continue to do these community events with great success. I'm going to move over here a little. Virgins Day, we've done for over 40 years, over 2,600 attendees this year. The Bristol Harvest Festival, we've done over 25 years and had almost 3,000 there this year. It was totally packed. And with the Better Middlebury Partnership, raise your hands, ladies. We work in coordination with them and just finished the 4th annual Middlebury Car Show and Fall Festival. And if you were there, the town was shut down. I mean, we had tons of people. It was a lot of fun. We did a brand refresh for the first time in probably several decades. And I got to call out our member who's actually here today, London Middlebury. Raise your hands back there. I had a little problem with this initially because I'm a lifelong Buffalo Bills fan, and these are definitely Miami Dolphin colors. But it started to grow on me, and people seem to like it. So, imagine Addison County. This is a grant that we received in 2025 for 2 years, which we got from the state, obviously, and it helps us to market to people to come into the state and live here as part of a workforce. And when they do get here, our job is to try to retain them, to get them to acclimate. And Lisa Grover, she's there in the back, runs the project for us. Give her a big hand. She's done a great job. And I'm happy to say that we received this for another 2 years, and I'd be remiss to say, because Alex is here as well, this is administered, the financial part of it, by the Addison County Economic Development Corporation. And Alex is running it now, and Fred Kenny, who's here for other reasons, got us started in the program. So it's been very well received. Chamber mixers. Everybody loves the chamber mixers. We do 10 or 11 of them a year, and I see many of you that come to a lot of them. I see some of you that come to all of them, especially if there's an open bar. Our educational webinars, which we also do with the Addison County Economic Development Corporation, we will do by the end of December 10 of these this year on all different subjects. Members, you are welcome to give us an idea for something that you'd like to do in the educational workplace. We'd love to hear your ideas. We're going to start planning all that next month for 2026. Our digital assets are going extremely well, and this is something that we provide to our members. Our magazine that comes out monthly, the Circ, is now almost at 2,500. We provided almost 400 free full-page ads to our members in that magazine. It's very popular. And AddisonCounty.com, over 8,000 visitors a month. We are up everywhere except Canada this year, and we all know why that is. But what are they coming to see at AddisonCounty.com? Well, what they're looking for is chamber events, the member directory, which is you guys, and Maria Benoit, who is our operations director, is always telling me, don't worry, I was going to give her another shout out later. She's always telling me, tell people to update their pages because you do get a lot of visits there. And if anybody wants to know specifically, what your visits are on your individual page on AddisonCounty.com, just give us a call. We can give you that info. The Visitor Center. We appreciate everybody's support for that. As of the 20th, we've had 2,235 people into the Visitor Center, which, by the way, is not supported by the state in any way. It is, we support it through the membership. It's mostly arriving by car, but train and bus. And again, I'd say that the biggest change this year is we lost almost all of our Quebec traffic. Pretty dramatic, down about 35%. And these are all of you out there who support the Visitor Center. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to operate it, and it also is a great way to get your brand, particularly when you're in these certain business segments, out in front of visitors who come to our Visitor Center on a regular basis. And then this is new, a little bit new this year. We've always had the Addison County Guide, but we used to have a vendor administer it. We brought it back in-house this year. It is 68 pages of 100% Addison County content. It is printed and designed in Addison County. It's distributed throughout the county, all of the state visitor centers. And the only reason I say this is because there's like an interloper who's come into the market, trying to tell people things. And all I will tell you is that we're not sending people to Chittenden County or to Stowe or to Rutland. So we just want you to continue to support this. And then finally, what's going to be new for next year? Well, we got a couple of things going on, but this is the coolest thing. And Mike, I talked to Peter about this for you, so be ready. We have been awarded we're going to be the regional administrators for the National Civics Bee, which takes place in 2026. Registration and submission of applications for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders is already open. And then on May 9th, we are going to have the finals for our region at the Opera House. And we're going to need some judges. And the kids go on to the state championship and then the national championships. And I think the thing that's really cool about this, obviously, the environment now, civics is really good. Did you know that only 50% of adults can actually pass a 20-question civics test? So what came to me with this, I said, I don't know, this looks like a heavy lift. Maybe we might not have time to do it. And I said, gee, we're little Vermont. What's our chances of winning a national championship? And they told me that the little girl 7th or 8th grader who won the national championship and a $100,000 college scholarship was from a little town in Alaska. So you never know. So that's it for me. So now I'm going to call Marty Kolchak, our chair, up for the business part of the meeting.
Thanks, Phil. It's quite a year in review for 2025. It's always so busy. Every year I'm shocked at how much they actually get done with such a small team. Addison County Chamber of Commerce, building businesses, building communities. The chamber really exists to support you, your business, and your communities, our communities. It does so in easy times, and it does so in challenging times. COVID wasn't that long ago. Each year seems to bring new challenges, change, and new opportunities. The Chamber's commitment to support is unwavering. Maria, Lisa, Phil, they do all of the work. They provide all the support for the businesses and our community. My wife and I started a business in Addison County and operated it for 13-plus years. We recently transferred stewardship to Chris and Jamie Kamek. We were members of the chamber all along, and we have benefited from that support. We're avid chamber supporters. Without your membership, your support, the annual networking mixers, the monthly mixers don't happen. The visitor center doesn't happen. The digital magazine doesn't happen. The business advocacy doesn't happen. Imagine Addison County relocation support doesn't happen. The National Civics Beat doesn't happen. The car show is harder for Middlebury. It's harder for the Vergennes Partnership. It's harder in Bristol to do the event. It's important that we support the chamber, and it's important that you go out and let other businesses know what the chamber does and what it brings to your business and to our community. So let's share that good work. We've got Phil, Lisa, and Maria they're great people doing great work. Here we're on with the annual meeting. In accordance with the bylaws of the Addison County Chamber of Commerce, we're pleased to submit to you the report of the nominating committee. The following are nominated to serve as chamber directors, to serve a one-year term expiring at the annual meeting in 2026. Tessa Dearborn, Red Clover Preschool. Amy Kugler, Marble Trail Financial. Heather Foster, Preventure, Champlain Valley Properties. Where's Heather? Sean Dye, Vermont Realty Group. To serve a 3-year term expiring annual meeting 2028, Elizabeth Reichs, National Bank of Middlebury. There, I'll wave the hey, Elizabeth. Other directors serving the chamber and not up for re-election currently, Amy Carlin with Middlebury College, Ben Fuller, the Richards Group, Doug DeWitt, Bristol Financial, Ned Horton, Otter Creek Bakery and Deli and Hair and the Dog, Nicole McTavish, Hannaford Career Center. According to Article 4, Section D of the bylaws, the following organizations will designate representatives who shall serve for a one-year term. The organizations and their designees are Addison County Economic Development Corporation, Rennie Perry, with the Vergennes Partnership. Better Middlebury Partnership, Catherine Torres, Co-Executive Director, Better Middlebury Partnership. Vergennes Partnership, Rennie Perry, Board Member of Vergennes Partnership. Bristol Core, Courtney Radford, Executive Director of Bristol Core. The following are nominated to serve as Chamber Officers for 2025, 2026. Chair, Marty Kolchak. Vice Chair, Ben Fuller. Treasurer, Amy Kugler. Secretary, Heather Foster Preventure. Executive Director, Phil Summers. May I have a motion to approve the slate of Board of Directors? Bob Forrestein, a second. Rennie? All in favor, please raise by saying aye or raising your hand. Motion carries. At this time, I happily will bring up Maria Benoit.
On behalf of the board and members of the Addison County Chamber of Commerce, a special thank you to the following people who will be finishing their terms as board members. Dickie Austin, Black Sheep Bistro, Megan Mandigo, Marble Trail Financial, Nancy Foster, Champlain Valley Realty. Please give a big hand to Dickie, Megan, and Nancy in appreciation of their years of service to the chamber. Will those in attendance please come up? And now I'm going to invite Phil back up.
See what I tell you, are we lucky or what? Okay, now we are pleased to present our 2025 Addison County Chamber of Commerce Annual Awards and our Hall of Fame induction. Recipients are nominated by the membership, and the nominating committee considered a record number of nominations for both categories this year. I'd ask you to hold your applause until the awardee comes up and gets their award, and if they have something to say, then we will applaud for them. So come to the stage. We're going to give you the award. If you'd like to say a few words, you're welcome. We do have a hook in the back, so you better keep it timed. And then we're going to move in front of the logo wall to have your picture taken by Elizabeth. So let's get started. Our first award tonight is the 2025 Young Professional of the Year, and that's going to be presented by Elizabeth Ricks of the National Bank of Middlebury. Elizabeth?
All the way in the back. All right, good evening, everyone. I have the honor of presenting the 2025 Young Professional of the Year Award. This award goes to Jennifer Doan. Jen is the owner of Distinctive Paint and Interiors. She took over an active business and has brought it to the next level. She's worked tirelessly to enhance her product offerings, provide exceptional customer service, and bring a much-needed and appreciated service to the community. Jen supports the community with donations and consultations. As an example, Jen provided materials for 17 showers at the Hannaford Career Center. She does this all with a smile and genuine care for every project. Everyone loves and respects Jen. Please join me in congratulating Jennifer Doan, the Chamber's 2025 Young Professional of the Year.
Thank you, everybody, so much. This is a huge honor and a giant surprise. But I just want to say a huge thank you to Connie Carroll, the woman that started Distinctive Paint Interiors 20 years ago this year. So thank you so much to Connie for starting the business and showing me the way. So, thank you.
Just ask Jen.
Great. Let's give her a big hand.
You gotta stay up there.
Our next award, the 2023 Buster Brush Citizen of the Year Award, is going to be presented by Nancy Foster of Champaign Valley Properties.
I am super happy to present this award tonight. I'm one of the people in this room that is old enough to remember Buster Brush, there's a few of us, who was a fabulous citizen of this community. And the person I get to present it to is in the same spirit. He's a wonderful part of this community. John Barstow has contributed to Addison County in exceptional and enduring ways. As a past president and current member of Addison Housing Works Board of Directors, he has helped guide the organization in its mission to provide 750 permanently affordable homes, like you were talking about. It has strengthened the economic and social fabric of this county. Beyond Addison County Works, John's leadership spans decades. Through his active service in Rotary, his role at Vermont Folklife Center, the bridges he has built between Middlebury College and the town. He is continually invested in creating a stronger, more connected community. John served on Middlebury's Planning Commission for 12 years. Prior to that, he served with other Middlebury residents on the Citizens for Middlebury. Their first thing was to oppose an application to develop a price chopper on the site of what is now South Village. South Village, by denying the supermarket, allowed for subsequent development of South Village with the M&T Bank, affordable and market rate rental apartments, and other housing and businesses. John has also served on the boards of the Otter Creek Child Care Center and on ACT, Middlebury's Teen Center. John exemplifies the values of leadership, collaboration, and civic responsibility that this ward seeks to honor. Please join me in congratulating John.
Thank you, Nancy. A few words. And that's, no, here. Thank you, Nancy. And thank you, Phil and the Chamber, for recognizing my contributions, which I really never added up and was very surprised to receive this honor. I'm humbled, particularly because it's named after Buster Brush, who was like, should be Citizen of the Century in this community. I have to say thank you to Nancy because she was our buyer's broker on both homes that we owned in Middlebury, and in large measure, we've been able to live here for the last 36 years because of Nancy. So thank you. I just want to say that this community has given back to me far more than I've given to it, or could ever give. I grew up in a small town in Connecticut, population 1,800, and only know how to engage with the world in such settings from the ground up. I credit Middlebury with providing with many opportunities to be involved, to be connected, and to belong. On reflection, I realized that the purpose of the nonprofits I've served is to offer belonging to those left out, whether through safe haven for teens or a safe, affordable place to call home. Every member of our community deserves a roof over their head. In closing, I feel a need to acknowledge the serious threats to our democracy occurring daily. They call me to ask myself, what does it now mean to be a good citizen? I'm trying to figure it out. Thank you so much.
Okay, Nicole McTavish of the Hannaford Career Center is going to present our 2025 Nonprofit of the Year Award.
All right. It seems like the theme of the night is housing. You should be proud of us. So the winner of this award is the Addison Housing Works. For 35 years, Addison Housing Works has been the backbone of housing affordability in Addison County, now providing more than 750 permanently affordable homes that allow our community to thrive. Recent achievements reflect both vision and sustained effort. The creation of 20 new workforce apartments at Stony Hill in 2023, the completion of $5 million of community septic infrastructure projects at Lindale, serving 67 households in 2024, and the participation in the Stonecrop development here in '25 to ensure that 6 new homes will remain permanently affordable for future generations of moderate income Vermonters. Just as importantly, Addison Housing Works invests in the strength of our communities, not only in bricks and mortar, but in the well-being of the residents through the Support and Services at Home initiative, which helps seniors age in place safely, and the Family Support Program, which assists vulnerable families in maintaining stability. By pairing housing with services, Addison Housing Works helps ensure that Addison County's neighborhoods remain vibrant, resilient, and places we all are proud to call home. Please congratulate Addison Housing Works, our 2025 Nonprofit of the Year.
Wow. Thank you so much for this award to the Chamber of Commerce. Truly, this belongs to probably everyone in the room who has supported Addison Housing Works or a project of ours in some way over the last 35 years. Perhaps in our previous iteration as Addison County Community Trust, we too went through a brand refresh with London Middlebury back in 2023. Truly, our staff, our board, some folks who are here tonight, and most of all, our residents who inspire everything that we do. Nicole already said a lot of it. That 750 homes, that's 1 in 19 homes in Addison County. So I think we're doing something really powerful together. 2025 has been a banner year for us. We did have our first family move into a permanently affordable shared equity home at Stonecrop back in August, so that was really exciting. And another highlight has been the manufactured housing infill that we've been able to do in our 9 mobile home parks across Addison County, delivering homes at about $100,000 a home. So a really incredible opportunity for folks to have homeownership, workforce homeownership housing. So again, thanks so much for this award. We really appreciate it, and for believing in the mission that everybody deserves a safe, affordable place to call home.
Our 2025 Business of the Year is going to be presented by Catherine Torres of the Better Middlebury Partnership.
Thank you, Phil. Nancy, darling Nancy. Nancy is the proud owner of Middlebury's beloved Sweet Cecily, and she opened her store 38 years ago in 1987. Before opening the store, Nancy worked at the Vermont State Center, formerly located in Frog Hollow Alley, as the gallery director. And after working there for years, the building across the street had become available, and she decided to open a shop there. And at that time, those who knew Nancy well would not have been surprised by the move. Nancy's very first job as a teenager was at a gift shop called Port of Call. Nancy is fully committed to downtown Middlebury, serving on the BMP board, and as a dedicated supporter of the Chamber of Commerce. Nancy has been the coordinator of the BMP annual award events, Spooktacular, and she even dresses up as our resident witch. So I just want to do a little shout out on Sunday between 11 and 1. Come and join us, and Nancy will be leading the parade, and you're all invited. Nancy's shop is constantly evolving with a wide range of products being sold. Her goal is for Sweet Cecily to have something for everyone who passes through her doors. Nancy's eclectic mix of offerings in her store is all about diversifying business, and she recognizes that that is what keeps her in business. Please join me in congratulating Nancy and Sweet Cecily, the Chamber's 2025 Business of the Year. Okay, thank you.
Thank you to the Chamber. It's a lovely, lovely honor for sure. I first want to shout out two people at my table. One of them is my husband, Bruce Baker. In 1987, he believed in me more than I believed in myself and suggested that I open a store, at which point I said that will never happen. And I was also working with Janice Stearns, sitting right there, and she's been working with me and for me for 38 years. People that work in a small business know that you spend more time with people that you work with than you do with people in your family. So it was very lovely that we got along so well. Having a small business in Middlebury is not always challenging, but between the bridge project, the train, COVID, we had some challenges over the years. At one point, I was closed during COVID, and I sold puzzles out my front door like a speakeasy just to pay the rent. But it's been my absolute joy of my life to have a store in this town, and I plan to go on and on as long as I possibly can. People are starting to ask me, when are you going to retire? It's like, not quite yet. Anyway, thank you so much. I have loved having a store in the town, seen it change so much, as we all have, but it's looking beautiful, and one of the reasons is there's so many people taking care of the town, including Catherine and Kelly of the BMP, who have done so much to beautify our town. We're so happy to have both of them as co-directors of the BMP. So thank you very much.
Catherine, that spectacular commercial is going to cost you $50. Our 2025 Community Event Award is going to be presented by Serena Kim and Matthew Robinson of Swift House Inn.
Hello, everyone. It is our honor to present this year's Community Event Award to a nonprofit cultural organization that has brought immense energy, creativity, and connection to Addison County for the past decade, the Middlebury New Filmmakers Festival.
Since its founding, the MNFF has championed the work of first and second-time filmmakers and offered them a world-class platform to share their stories. What began as Lloyd Commissar and Jay Craven's bold local idea has grown into a nationally recognized event that brings over 1,000 people to Middlebury in August.
It supports our local economy, forges lasting partnerships with schools and nonprofits, and gives our community something truly rare, a shared space to gather, feel, reflect, and celebrate the human experience through film.
With each passing season, MNFF continues to grow in attendance, participation, and acclaim. And this year marked a major turning point, the transition of leadership from founder and producer Lloyd Commissar to a new executive director, Caitlin Boyle, ensuring that the festival remains as forward-thinking and community-minded as ever.
But MNFF's impact isn't just measured in films or ticket sales. It brings youth, art, and vitality to our streets, our venues, and our local businesses. It mobilizes townspeople to support the arts, not just as audience members, but as volunteers, filmmaker hosts, sponsors, and champions.
So please join us
Oh, yeah.
in congratulating, well, you can say it if you'd like. No, please. Please join us in congratulating the Middlebury New Filmmakers Festival 2025 Community Events Award. We thank you, Lloyd, who will be
Yes.
accepting on behalf of the
Lloyd
MNFF,
Commissar.
for a decade of vision, dedication, and storytelling.
Wow. Oh, thank you. I'm just going to give it right back to them so I don't have to hold it while I'm speaking. Would you like your notes back? No? We'll take them so I don't read those. I got new writers, that's where the jokes are coming from. So we're deeply honored, actually, and thrilled to receive this award. We started with a small idea back in 2014 that we would create an event for our community that would bring first and second time filmmakers from around the world here and see what happened. And that was 2015, so this was our 11th festival this year. There are people in this room, sorry, you're hearing the reverb. There are people in this room who were so essential to our start. So I want to give a shout out to Doug Anderson and THT. Thank you, Doug. Angelo Lynn is here from the Addison Independent. Without his support, nothing. And Lori Patton couldn't be with us tonight because she has a new job. But Middlebury College was essential to us getting off the ground. And, I went through the directory of the membership of the Chamber, and there are currently 27 members who are sponsors of Middlebury New Filmmakers Festival, especially folks like Amy Ryan at IPJ, who has been with me almost from the beginning and has been our presenting sponsor for, I think, 8 years. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much, Amy. I don't want to get the hook, but I also don't want to, not thank all the other sponsors who are here tonight. We appreciate it. And I also noticed there are at least six sponsors who used to be with us in the beginning. So over the length of time, all these leading edge companies who are local have supported us. And staying local is really important to us, and we intend to do that over the coming years. And I think the last shout out will go to my wife, who legitimately claims responsibility for founding this festival by pushing me to do something with myself. After I left Disney, she said, no, you got to get out of the house and do something. So here we are, 12, 13 years later. Thank you, dear. I really appreciate it. Maureen Karn, the gift who keeps on giving. Thank you. Thank you all very much for this award. We truly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Good job, Lloyd. Lloyd was one of the first people I met when I got to Addison County. We hit it off right away because he worked for Disney and I worked in the entertainment business in New York. And now we're going to play golf together. That's what I hear anyway. Okay, we're getting to the Hall of Fame now. Let's change this. The Hall of Fame, on behalf of our board of directors, staff, and the membership, I'm excited to be able to welcome tonight the 2025 Hall of Fame class. Nominations from the membership were considered using the following criteria. The Hall of Fame honors prominent members, both past and present, living or deceased, who have made extraordinary contributions to the Addison County business or nonprofit communities. Individuals inducted into the Hall of Fame will have demonstrated the following characteristics: business or nonprofit excellence, courageous thinking, vision, innovation, inspirational leadership, and community service. They have worked to lead the Addison County business or nonprofit communities to a stronger, higher level. The number of nominees selected for the Hall of Fame in any year may be several or none, as determined by the Chamber's nominating committee. In addition to receiving an award tonight, each inductee will have their photo exhibited on our Hall of Fame wall at the Virgins train station and our visitor center and offices. I'd like the inductees to come up after you all receive your awards so we can have a group photo. I just want to lay that out there now so I don't forget, Beth. Now I'd like to ask Jason LaRock of Otter Creek Engineering to present our first Hall of Fame inductee. He's got a way to travel.
Big print. Good evening. This is truly a pleasure to present this induction of Peter DeGraff into the Chamber Hall of Fame. I've had the privilege of knowing Pete DeGraff for over 35 years. And in that 35 years, I've witnessed his deep and lasting commitment to Addison County, both professionally and from a volunteer standpoint. Addison County has always been dear to him, and he moved back here in 88 and hasn't looked back. As a graduate of UVM with a degree in civil engineering, Peter was a founding partner of Otter Creek Engineering and a former past president. Through his career, he worked with water systems around Vermont to provide clean drinking water and upgrading infrastructure, a key ingredient of housing. In his effort, he has done meaningful, lasting impact on countless residents around the state. In addition to his professional achievements, Peter was a devoted volunteer for many years here in Addison County. He served this region proudly as a trustee of the Ilsley Public Library and the Henry Sheldon Museum, as vice chair of the Porter Hospital Board of Trustees, and as secretary of Town Hall Theater Board of Directors. Peter also maintained a strong connection with UVM through the UVM Department of Community Development, through the Engineers Without Borders program and Partners of the Americas, mentoring students on international development projects in Honduras, Peru, and Kenya. His guidance has inspired a new generation of engineers and leaders that will make a difference around the world. Unfortunately, Peter cannot be here with us tonight. He is currently checking off an item on his bucket list as he's vacationing halfway around the world. However, I did have the opportunity to speak with him because he was having some IT issues yesterday. The only reason why he called me. He is deeply humbled to be honored with this award and to, be among the great people of Addison County that volunteer their time to help support this community. Please join me in congratulating Peter on this induction into the Addison County Chamber of Commerce Hall of Fame. Thank you.
We're going to give Peter his award when he comes back to town. Our next Hall of Fame inductee will be introduced by our chair, Marty Kulcher.
I feel very fortunate to be making this presentation today. Bob Farstein is a great guy. Even as a boy traveling alone into Manhattan for chess tournaments, Bob's interest, aside from family, centered on science, numbers, and strategy. While working for a bank on Wall Street, he decided to get a PhD in electrophysics and later as a postdoc at the University of Colorado. He got the world's first optical computer working, and his photo standing in what looks like a room full of giant spaghetti went around the world with the news. When he left the university position, he worked assessing technology in Japan for the U.S. military. Then he worked for a year in the United States Senate in Washington, D.C., as a liaison between science and Congress. After that, he worked for Level 3, a global telecommunications company. In his last job before moving to Vermont, Bob's business card was engraved by appointment of Her Majesty, the Queen. He worked for British Telecom. Then the epiphany. Why not sell his stocks, mortgage the house, and use his retirement savings to buy Kennedy Brothers? Back in Virginia, who wouldn't want a dilapidated old buildings with no business? Well, he thought he could take care of that. He likes making decisions, was ready to be his own boss. He's happy doing renovations while building and running his business, and really enjoys being part of the community and living in such a beautiful state. Bob also served for many years on the board of the Chamber and as its chair. Please join me in congratulating Bob on his induction into the Hall of Fame. Real pleasure. Mueller.
Thank you. I was wondering why my wife was asking me all these questions about my ancient history, and now I know. So one story about the chamber. As you just heard, we basically mortgaged the house, sold everything, and bought Kennedy Brothers. And the day we bought Kennedy Brothers, after we closed the deal up in Burlington, we drove down to East Middlebury to the Waybury Inn, and we went to the Chamber Christmas Mixer. So I've been involved with the Chamber since the first day that we owned Kennedy Brothers together. And this is a great honor. I want to thank the board for reminding me that I'm getting pretty old. Thank you again.
No, we have two more. Two more. Ben Fuller of the Richards Group is going to introduce our third Hall of Fame inductee tonight.
So in 2017, the Addison County Economic Development Corporation was fortunate to hire an executive with over 30 years of experience in business and public administration at the state and federal levels, including 20 years in economic development. Fred Kenny entered public service after running an inn, restaurant, and pub, and working in real estate and construction in the Sugarbush area. Fred served on Senator Patrick Leahy's staff for 13 years. He served Vermont in Senator Leahy's personal office in Washington, D.C., and as assistant clerk on the Senate Appropriations Committee staff. Fred then moved his family back to Vermont and provided constituent services in Senator Leahy's Burlington office before providing outreach in the areas of business, economic development, housing, and transportation from the senator's Montpelier office. In 2001, Fred was appointed as executive director of the Vermont Economic Progress Council, providing statewide economic development, strategic planning, and administering the Vermont Employment Growth Incentive Program, the Tax Increment Financing Program, and other programs for the Vermont Agency of Commerce. Fred's contributions to Addison County are too numerous to list here, but a few highlights include oversaw $1 million in business growth financing through ACCC's revolving loan fund while recapitalizing said fund, was key in winning $12 million in economic development grants for the region and increasing ACEDC's capacity to research, apply for, and administer grants for Addison County. He restructured the ACCC staff to better advance economic development in our area, and Fred was instrumental in helping Addison County business community to weather the COVID pandemic. Fred retired from ACDC this past summer and lives in Salisbury with his wife, Jan. He's also a volunteer. Fred serves as a volunteer with the Rotary Club, meaning he does lots of community service projects in the community. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, tonight 2 of the award winners were Rotarians. If any of you are pining for one of these awards, I'm not saying it's a direct correlation, but that might be an in, joining Rotary. So Fred also served on the Bolton School Board, including several years as the chair. Fred is also president of With Love from Vermont, a Vermont nonprofit that since 2012 has partnered with Feed My Starving Children to pack and send over 1.3 million meals to starving children around the world and collect tons of non-perishable food for local food shelves. Fred's won a number of recognition awards this year, and he's deserving of them, 100%. But I'm going to ask the other organizations in the room, hold off for a couple years on giving him any more. Because he is such a good community volunteer, I want him incentivized to continue doing that work. But for now, please join me in congratulating Fred Kenny on his induction to the Addison County Chamber of Commerce 2025 Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Fred. You deserve it, buddy.
Wow. Thank you so much. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve the people of Vermont for the past 40 years. And having the last 8 of those years as a capstone working here in Addison County has just been so truly rewarding. Any success I experienced was due to a lot of collaboration and partnerships. The most important one, of course, is my partnership with my wife. It's the part where I always choke up. Who's put up with me over all those years. So thank you for your support, and thank you all for your support. Thank you.
Okay, our final inductee is going to be introduced by Barbara Harding of Otter Creek Used Books, who, by the way, in the past used to work for our inductee.
Linda was a Rotarian, too. I didn't have it in my notes, but it's important. So, Linda, I did forget my scarf. I'm sorry. Linda was noted for her scarves. She had a great collection of scarves. But we won't tell them why you wore so many scarves, or why you wore scarves. That's our secret. But Linda served as, this is very emotional for me because Linda is one of my role models. And, but she served as the executive director for the Addison County Chamber of Commerce for 25 years. And initially started it, and it's wonderful to see what it's become. But I had the pleasure of working for her out of her 25 years, 14, and I was the travel and marketing director. Linda's work ethic really set an example for a lot of female executives in our time when it was pretty much male-dominated.
She saw the chamber throughout its growth with her professionalism, her quiet demeanor, and being steady. The chamber office began what is the Addison County Sheriff's Office on Court Street a long time ago, with 2 employees, Linda and an assistant, and the phones were answered by volunteers. After some time, I don't know the years, I didn't want to stop and figure it out, but the office grew, and it moved down the street to 2 Court Street, the Painter House, and we had the downstairs. But that space was shared by economic development, and then a full-time membership director was included, and eventually my position was added. The membership grew, and the focus on the chamber came to include the tourism, and it was seen as an economic generator, not only to the county, but to the state. And Stearns leaned into the tourism, and we became a leader in the field. We would do anything. We did everything. If there was a grant, we were after it. But the membership was the driving force of the chamber. Regardless of the size of the business, the sole proprietor to a large corporation, sole proprietor to a large corporation, profit to nonprofit, each were important. Not yet. But all were respected because everybody's business represented a dream. And that was important to Linda. And she was known for taking time for each of the members. So many times we would hear, "Can I just see Linda for just a quick moment?" And either a phone call, people stopping by, and Linda would stop, drop everything, and they'd go sit in her office, and whatever the issue was, she would make sure that that was corrected. So, but also, when Linda walked the halls of the State House, this always got me because there was such a buzz that Linda was in the house. And sometimes we wouldn't even make it out of the coat room, and people would be questioning her. And then not only to see her for pleasantries, but to find out her perspective on whatever the issue was. Because her political perspective was uncanny. She could see a situation inside and out. How? But she would never answer it. But she would just give a little wink and a quick little smile. She knew. But honestly, the one thing that I do miss was her taking the time for the staff as well. And the members were important, but she always took care of us. And those days when we would hear the pocket doors close and lock, and then we'd look at the phone and see the lights all blinking, she'd put them all on hold. And then she'd call us into her office. It was either something really bad or something was going on, but we'd go to her office, and there she would have the champagne glasses that were hidden away, a strawberry in each one, and she would be pouring champagne. And we would sit in her office, and we would just gossip, talk, and laugh. And it was the only time that we were ever allowed to put our feet up on her desk. But so
I'd like you to all please honor Linda into this induction. Thank you.
That she can say a few words. That's okay. You got to come over here, though, and they won't be able to hear you.
Anyway, I loved what I did. I loved being there. I loved seeing how things were getting along and everything. But most of all, I loved people who worked with me and brought it up as a chamber from almost nothing to look what's now. Yep. And I'm proud of you.
Take a picture in front of that big white screen, okay?
Keep her there, keep her there. The other inductees are coming.
Let's give him a big hand. Okay, we got one more thing, but before I invite in VPR to come up for the raffle, I just want to thank Vermont Health, Porter Health here in Middlebury, and for sponsoring this along with VPR. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, Bob and Amy back there. We really appreciate your help. So I'd like to ask Pam from VPR to come on up, and we'll do the raffle for the media flight, which is pretty cool. Now nobody's tripped yet, Pam. So. You want to talk first?
I want to just say one thing.
Go ahead.
One quick thing. It's really a pleasure to be here. I mostly want to say thank you. Vermont Public is only in service to you, and we are here strong and ready to fight for democracy and the news that you count on us for, and we're so grateful for all your support. I also want to say that I'm here for you, so when you need help getting your messages out so you can be successful in this community, please give us a call. We are there for you anytime. So, last of my statement. Okay, I think you're going to be happy. You're a double winner. This is Lloyd. Lloyd's a double winner tonight.
I'll let you tell him what he has to do.
I want your business card, and then we'll talk about the sponsorship that you get through us. So this is our gift to you, and we're happy to help supplement it if needed. Yep. And I'm not going to trip going out.
Okay. And I think Adagio won it last year and did well for you, huh? Yeah, it's really great, really great. Okay, thanks everybody. It's so good to see so many members in one place at one time. I also want to thank Lisa, she's not here anymore, Lisa Mitchell, who manages this great space, and all of her staff who've done a great job for us tonight. Want to thank Maria Benoit, my operations director. Everybody knows she does all the work, and I just like sit in my office and watch football. Want to thank Otter Creek Bakery and Deli for putting on the spread tonight. And again, thank you so much to Vermont Health Porter Health Network for sponsoring this. And they've sponsored a whole bunch of stuff for us, by the way. Thank them. Give them a big hand. See how important Maria is? She's told me to tell you there's dessert outside on the way out. Okay, so with that, we'll see you next year.